Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. We are here for day 3 of a 4-day from body pain to body mastery 4-day immersion. Just after the equinox, just after the full moon and eclipse. So just settling into our space, right? Just coming into this moment, coming into this moment. So leaving what is outside of this room, outside of your space, just leaving it outside. Good. And let's start just by opening the space. So I am going to start by looking around the room, and we do this intentionally, right? Because we're building awareness. And by building awareness of, let me pin, building awareness of our body, our internal environment, our external environment. Right, our internal environment, proprioception, and internal meaning relationships of body parts. Like, how do we get up and move without looking or tracking, right? That our body knows where each part is. Our connection from our body to the external environment, the space around us, the people around us. Exteroception, interoception. And proprioception, right? Sense of self is the other one, just a felt sense of self. So a little less about where the body parts are, where is my arm, but what am I feeling in this place? So let's start by looking out into the room. Again, just that sense of color and light. Objects in the room, sense of their weight, their shape, maybe even their meaning to us. Awareness of squares, rectangles, circles, soft, firm. And then let's come to close the eyes. And still aware of, maybe even the sense with the eyes closed, the distance between you and the wall, the floor, the ceiling, an object. Good. And really just allowing your awareness to come in. So if the mind feels busy, maybe draw awareness to the breath, the filling and the emptying of the belly. And just taking a moment to notice, right, to check in, noticing body sensations. Again, could be the pressure of your hips on your seat or your back against a chair, temperature of the room, maybe even a little deeper in. You can even use your hands as assist to feel the beat of your heart, or that movement of the ribs as you breathe. Good. Noticing any sharpness or dullness, hot, cold. Again, these are the opposite ends of the spectrum as far as our sensations list. I have buzzy, zippy, numb, calm, afraid. And those are bordering on felt sense, but still sensory. Good. And then even just an acknowledgement of who we are, our essence, our spirit, as you say, or as we can call it, right? That part of us that doesn't, that we feel the same as we did when we were maybe a teenager, we feel the same now. We don't necessarily feel a sense of aging in that part. That part is beyond our gender, our age, our socioeconomic, right? That part of us that is who we are. And then maybe just the container of the room, maybe the container of the earth beneath you, the container of the Mother Earth, the stewards of the land under you from the beginning of time, plants, animals, humans. Maybe even just an acknowledgement of the space around you, around your home, the nature, the light, the season. What are the gifts that come in from that? Or what is the support, the nourishment, the resource? Good. And then slowly coming back to this moment and time, letting your eyes open, looking out into the room. Right, again, just using, then this is a tool, right, just to help us come more fully into any moment, right, whether it's a challenging moment, a good moment, a moment where we feel disconnected from our body or another. I heard somebody speak this morning about belonging, right? This sense of belonging, belonging to ourselves, belonging to our space, right? As a way to kind of step into stewardship of our body, of our space, of this moment, right? That connection, belonging and stewardship. Okay, so day one, we talked about sensations. And one, how that builds awareness of our body, but also a conversation with our body, that our sensations are very much connected to our symptoms, whether they're pain or chronic symptoms, changes in our body, right? Maybe it's just a sense of, we call tracking, right? Which is just assessing, okay, there's more pain in my back, I'm getting headaches more, right? There's a beginning of something, and just watching that or noticing what it's in relationship to. A cycle of stress, a season, a conflict, a change in the body. And day two, we talked about sensation and the deeper, and we're going to play with this in just a moment, the deeper sense of need in relationship to sensation. So if there's a sharpness, maybe there's a persistent sharpness, and we're not quite sure what it is, right? So if we, whatever it is, it could be in the neck, it could be headaches, it could be mid-back, jaw, just using that as an example, right? So one, kind of tapping into, again, is it, what level of pain or sensation is it? Is it constant? Does it come and go? Is there a time when then it shows up? Right, allows us to step back a little bit, assess, really investigate, really see that it's not as maybe as high as is our, sometimes we get very afraid when there's new symptoms or new things happening in our body. And then the second part of, is there a deeper need? And it could be quite simple, a need to lay down and rest, a need to not overwork, or maybe this particular situation, maybe not today, maybe assessing, right, what the need is around that, whether extending our energy out is too much, or the support is not supportive. So let's actually play with that. So is there And again, it could be any sensation, symptom, quality in your body. It could even be fatigue, brain fog. It could be any of the qualities. So picking one and just sitting with it for a moment and really letting your awareness move towards it. Close your eyes. Notice if your breath is shallow or deep as you turn towards it. And again, just the assessment of what's the level of sensation. Is it a strong? Is it a low? Is it an annoying and gnawing? Is it sharp? Good. And just to feel supported, remembering that connection to your room, to the outside world, to the earth, and even to the places in your body that feel good. Right now, my hands feel soft and receptive. Again, notice a place in the body that feels more full of ease, sense of spaciousness, sense of vitality. So as you turn back to the place that feels more agitated or stirred up, is there a need? And again, if nothing comes, that's also okay. But is there a need from you? A need just to be present, a need for acknowledgement, a need for water, nourishment, and food. A need to take a different action. Set a boundary with somebody, set a boundary with ourselves. A need for more kindness towards thyself. A need for a different pacing in life, either slower or more engagement with others. And if that need were fulfilled, if that need were met by you or just the sense of it feeling met, what would that feel like? To have that need met? What would that give you? A feeling, an opportunity, a sense of being held, a sense of belonging, a sense of being seen. And let's take it a little deeper. So if that need were met and you had that feeling of being met, what is a deeper need beyond that that wants to be met? Right, so we're moving towards a more fullness. And then what is the need there? Maybe it's a need to express that fullness or more energy or more vitality. Or maybe there's a need to create something with that energy of being seen or heard. Examples. These are just examples. Take this as far or as open as you need. And then just imagining that need also being met. Whether it's in the effort or in the acknowledgement of others, or even the acknowledgement of yourself. Right, and it's ultimately about us meeting our needs and allowing others to meet our needs. And notice what that feels like in your body. Notice this and the sensations that you feel. As there's an inquiry, notice maybe places where there's more resistance or more sensation or less sensation. A deeper breath. Good. And then we'll just let that sit there. And may it even continue just to sift through your awareness through the rest of the class, through the rest of the day. Right? Any of these words that offer you support. And when you're ready, slowly opening your eyes. And if there's something that you would like to share in the chat, or even unmute and maybe one sentence, just so we can stay on time. But I'd love to hear. Peaceful. Yeah, good. Lovely. Just even that moment of digestion feels really good. Okay, so today, again, these are all ways to work with the nervous system, right? If we think of the nervous system as our sensory system, but is also the one expressing the symptoms. It's right. I think of symptoms as just little alarms. They're saying, hey, something's out of balance. Hey, turn your attention back in towards me. Yeah. Yeah, do what you can. We will get on the floor, but we'll be gentle. Okay, so I just wanted to, so I'm just going to go over these again, just to see the relationship. I'm going to screen share. So let's go back to the beginning. Nope. Pink one. Nope. Nope. There we go. The sensations list. And it's in the Facebook group. And again, these are just ways to build a language, right? It's like building English or a new language, just building vocabulary around that communication with the body. Like, what does it feel to have soggy? What feels soggy in the body, or limp, or sluggish, or toxic, or squishy, or soft? Right. So again, this becomes the conversation with our body. And the one thing that I love about listening to sensations is it's really interesting when you're not just having a conversation with somebody and you notice your shoulders gripping and your jaw gripping, but also the sense of being in a situation that feels really good, and to feel that in your whole body, right? That our body is how we feel our emotions, right? They move through our body. And there's something quite beautiful about that. It also helps us connect to others. And it also allows us to connect to the needs of our body. So second day was needs, right? And again, sometimes identifying those, building the words, the vocabulary, right? The what we actually need. And I do think that especially as women, we're kind of wired to assess other people's needs, especially if we have children, partners, parents who need help. And the conversation towards ourself of what is our need, what are our basic needs: air, shelter, touch, food, security, shelter, security, autonomy. I love self-responsibility, self-care. Like that is a need. And that listening or the awareness of it, right? Needing awareness, needing clarity, needing faith, aliveness. Okay, and then I spoke about this, and we'll go into this a little bit more tomorrow, but the sense of in safety and under threat and how our nervous system responds. And sometimes we don't even know that we are in a place of high stress or a sense of threat. And it could be a threat, the not having enough time to get everything done, and whether that's responsibility for others or for work and making money, and kind of all moving back towards security of our body, our food, our housing, our connection. And so there's 3 rows for in safety, and there's 3 for under threat. Where's that last picture? These are too big to put on slides. So this is the 3 rows, right? There's sympathetic fight, flight, and the 2 other rows, they talk a lot about the vagus nerve, but those are it's not the only aspect of the nervous system that's connected to parasympathetic or our kind of rest digest cycle, right? We have one aspect of it that is connected to freeze or shut down, overwhelm, and another aspect that is, we call it tend and befriend, social engagement, connection, right? That when something intense happens, finding somebody to reflect, to calm, to engage with, to neutralize, to help us rebalance. And then this one for today, this is kind of the movement towards, called it cycles of health. And the awareness of what are the factors that contribute to. So this is a model of what we look at as facilitators. What's a model of healing, or what are the things that we can touch into? Right. So awareness of body is one. If we have a hard time connecting to sensations, or even to the needs or to feelings, then we can also start to look at other aspects, right? So especially with the body, right? Sometimes biomechanical, and I tend to think that everything has an energetic element, and whatever that means. Our energetic body is an aspect, the energetic quality of our physical body, our emotional body, our mental body, our relational body, our intuition, our knowing. Okay, so biomechanical is really how we move, and it can be quite structural, like how we move and our patterns of movement, which I also find really interesting because our patterns of movement also kind of mimic our beliefs about ourselves, right? Even just our posture, right? Of being more protective or more open or even more kind of sturdy and confident, but also how we move, how things are moving in the body, right? Sometimes pain is an old injury, right? Sometimes there's a sprained ankle that's impacting our hip. It's impacting how we walk, so it's impacting how our hip is having to work. And again, sometimes there's an energetic component, but sometimes there's also just a very physical aspect that needs tending. And when in the tending, sometimes the energetic gets resolution. So biomechanics, how we move, patterns of movement, how's the ankle moving? And so we use a lot of movement, or I use a lot of movement in this work. One, because it really moves, it connects right to the nervous system. It's a direct communication to the nervous system in healing physically, energetically, trauma, old stuff. And it's just a way, and it's also a way to keep us physically very healthy. Okay, biochemical it's the deeper layers of what's happening in the organs, what's happening in our blood sugar, what's happening in our digestive tract, what is happening in our nervous system, even just the nerves itself. Are they healthy? Are they injured? Our hormonal system, right? So it's more about the systems, the cellular health, the biochemical. And those are of all other aspects. And the tending to that, again, just creates a wholeness within our being, right? So that sometimes body pain is more connected to what's happening in the organs, all the symptoms more connected to what's happening in the organs, or viruses, or bacteria, or fungal. Okay, and then fascial, structural. Fascia is really considered our structure. So fascia, bones are considered part of our connective tissue. Blood is also part of our connective tissue. So fascia is connective tissue. So what we tend to think of it more often than not is ligaments, tendons, the fascial sheaths around muscle fibers, muscle groups, body areas, like the forearm fascial container, and how the fascial, right? The fascia is really interesting in that it's highly innervated and highly responsive to our environment. So there is an emotional element too, right? That if there's an injury, the fascia will shrink and protect around that area and often pull on other areas, like a sprained ankle, which then starts to pull on the knee or pull on the hip. And it can pull all the way up to the jaw or to the shoulder. Okay, so I'm going to skip over to the emotional. Emotional meaning past or present. Past or present. What is the knot that we might be entangled in? Or what is the knot that maybe, and the emotional part is really interesting because it can be something historically. Our body holds memory. It holds the memory of our history, right? That it's in the body. But it's also part of what we carry from our ancestral line, right? There is, and I was just listening to this woman, she's a researcher, a neuroscience researcher, just talking about and the way that she frames it, I really love, is she talks about when my mother was in my grandmother's womb. So when my grandmother was pregnant and my mother was about 5 months in utero, she was making her eggs for the rest of her life. She was making her eggs at 5 months. And there's this correlation of the grandmother's DNA to the granddaughter's DNA, in the sense of whatever's happening in the grandmother's life, culturally as well, with the wars and the depression, the war, the market, all that stuff that happened around my grandmother's era, and how it moves into our system as well, right? That there's a resonance in perceived safety or not safe in the world. Okay, so is there any thought on that before we come to the floor and do movement? And movement will be pretty quiet, mostly focused on shoulders. Should be pretty doable, but always make it smaller, always make it slower, depending on your body. Okay, so I know that was a lot. So I just want to take a moment to acknowledge that. And I guess what the main reason I say that is whatever pings for you as a place of, oh, that's a curiosity. I wonder if this is connected. Or, oh, that feels like a place that I want to put more time and energy into. Oh, that looks like a place I'm not quite ready to look at, but eventually. Okay, let's come on to our backs. So I am going to start with knees bent, feet on the floor, and if you need a little prop for your head, take it. And hopefully, as the body starts to settle, as the mid back, lower back, right, that kind of mid back where the bra strap is always an interesting place in women. Base of neck, jaw, upper neck, low back, sacrum. Good. And let's just start with a little rolling of the head. Side, center, side, and just feeling the weight of the head and the movement. Good. I notice when I turn to one side, there's a lot more activity in my shoulder and down into my upper back than on the other side. Good. And then let's extend the legs for a moment. And if that doesn't feel good on your lower back, then rebend the knees. But we're just going to play with right shoulder. I'm just going to lift that shoulder off the floor up towards the ceiling. It's not very much. And then let it come back. So it's really more the initiation than anything. And then lifting the shoulder. And then releasing that. Notice what's happening, lifting that shoulder, see how much of the shoulder blade, if you can feel, is coming off of the floor. Top corner, inner edge, outer edge, lower tip comes back down. And pause. And then let's do the left shoulder, letting that left shoulder lift off the floor towards the ceiling. Again, it's not very much. It's like I could stick a couple fingers under my upper shoulder and then release and lift. Again, notice what's happening. Does the head want to turn? Maybe even play with the head turning. Notice what direction the head wants to turn. Let that shoulder relax. And then one more time, lift. And lower. Good. Let's bend the knees. Notice how that feels different. Good. Let's go back to the right side. Let's pull that right shoulder into the floor. Again, you're just pulling it back. It's not very much effort. And then relax that. And almost playing with it being efficient and easy and smooth. And pulling it back towards the floor. And release. And pulling that shoulder back into the floor as if just pressing it. And release. Notice your breath or lack of breath. Let's do that left side, left shoulder, just pressing back into the floor. And notice if the head moves or doesn't move, and maybe playing with both, head moving, head not moving. Pressing back and release. And pressing back and release. Good. Again, just let the head roll a little side to side. And coming back to center. And then let's play with right shoulder pulling down and left shoulder lifting. And then release that. And just noticing are the right and left shoulder moving at the same time? Is one moving first, the right shoulder or the left? And let's try each of them. So right shoulder back, left shoulder lift, same time. It's simultaneously. And then maybe play with the right shoulder moving back, then the left shoulder. Notice which one you did originally. And then left shoulder lift, right shoulder press. Again, these are really simple and smooth. Smoothing it out with the breath, with the body. And then pause. Good. And let's do the other side first. So left shoulder and right shoulder, left shoulder pulling, pressing into the floor, right shoulder lifting. And notice if the head is moving or not moving. Notice if they moved at the same time or not. And play with those three variations of left shoulder pressing, right shoulder lifting, same time. Or left shoulder pulling, then right shoulder lifting. Or right shoulder lifting, then left shoulder pressing back. And notice if the head isn't moving or moving, try both. See what feels easier on the whole system. And pause and stretch the legs out. It's small movements, less is more. Looking for ease or information or awareness. Good, with the knees bent. Just going to take my left hand to my right collarbone. And I'm just going to lift and lower that right shoulder, right? So again, I'm trying to lift the shoulder blade off the floor a little and let it come back to the floor. And can you feel that? That bony, right? The shoulder blade on the back of the ribs. And notice if the head is rolling or not rolling. Maybe try both. What is easier? What assists the body? Good. And pause. And let's switch arms. Right hand on that left shoulder blade and let that left shoulder blade just press back into the floor. And release and press back. Again, just feeling that collarbone area, just hands on there. So you have a little more feedback from the hand. And even having the hand there What does that give the body? How much more information? And then pause, rest the arms, and then try both. Right shoulder lifting, left shoulder pressing back. A couple times, head moving, not moving. And then rest. Extend the legs. Notice any shift in your awareness, in your body. And let's bend the knees. You might feel a softening through the whole system. You might feel a little uneasiness through the whole system. Good, let's bring right hand onto that left shoulder and let the left shoulder lift, or left shoulder blade try to lift off the floor. As that front shoulder lifts into the right hand. Again, notice if the head turns or doesn't turn. Is it helpful if it turns or doesn't turn? Lift and lower. Lift and lower. And then after you lower the last time, pause. Let's switch hands. Collarbone of the right shoulder, and let that right shoulder press back. And release, right? So it's not a lot of engagement, but letting the hand feel it. Feeling the shape of the collarbone, feeling the engagement of the tissue. Again, is the head moving or not moving? Try both. And then relax the left hand, and let's try to do the lift of the left shoulder and the press back of the right. And again, maybe notice, is it simultaneous? Is the right side pulling, left lifting after, or the left shoulder lifting and then the right shoulder pulling? Maybe try all. And then settle. Extend the legs. Let the head roll side, center, side. Good. One more time each side, nice and easy, heavy. Notice what's happening in the neck, jaw, face, mouth. And then coming back to center. Just checking time. Okay, let's do one more thing. So I'm going to turn sideways. So actually, I probably shouldn't. So knees bent, feet flat on the floor. Arms out to the side. Good, and let's start here. So I'm actually going to turn, let's turn right palm down to the floor, and I'm going to let my head turn one side. Center, other side. Good, one more time each side. So I'm turning towards a palm facing up. And I'm turning towards a palm facing down. And then I'm going to switch. So opposite palm down, opposite palm up. And again, just a couple times, side, center, side. Good, and let's bring the arms a little closer to the body, feet a little wider than hip distance apart. And I'm going to let the head tip to the right as I come onto the right back pocket. So, and then rolling across the back of the pelvis, back of the rib cage, back of the head onto left back pocket, left side of rib cage, left side of head. And do a couple more. Side, center, side, center, side, center, and side. Coming back to center. Pause. Good. I'm going to turn again. Little anterior tilt and posterior tilt. So anterior tilt, I'm rolling down the sacrum towards the sitting bones, towards the tailbone, towards the base of the pelvis. Lower back will get light on the floor. Belly will lift a little. And then posterior tilt, waist tips back into the floor as the tailbone tips up. It's like rocking chair movement. And anterior tilt. And posterior tilt. Anterior tilt. And posterior tilt. Good. And pause. And let's just do a little. So I'm going to press into the right foot, and I'm just going to press the foot down. The knee will start to lift and move towards the toes. The thigh will lift a little. The pelvis will lift a little. And I'm going to tip onto the left back pocket. And then rolling onto the back of the pelvis. And let's do the other side. Left foot presses. Knee moves towards the toes. Thigh lifts. Tipping towards the right back pocket. And then onto the back of the pelvis. First side again, pressing right foot. Knee will lift, thigh will lift, hip will lift. And rocking back. Second side. Notice if the head wants to roll or not roll. Maybe try both. Second side, right foot pressing. Pelvis tipping. I guess that's not second side, that's first side. We're just doing it again. And then left foot pressing and tipping to the right. So it's a very similar movement to what we were doing, just a different initiation, different focus. Pause, stretch your legs out. Feel the ground under you. Right, feel the light of the room over you, maybe the light outside. Maybe the ground underneath. Whatever aspects of the ground feel helpful. Soil, grass, trees, bunnies moving through the grass. Beautiful blue sky. Birds. Good, and you can stay on the floor, or let's roll up to sit. I'm just going to do a short closing meditation. So if you want to stay on the ground, you can. Okay. All right. So again, spine somewhat supported. So if you can sit comfortably with your spine supported, do so. If you need to sit on a chair against a wall, lay back on the floor, please do so. Closing your eyes, coming back to the awareness of your breath. And your breath as it moves through your body, right? So there's the awareness of, right, we kind of know where the lungs are, they're in the rib cage. But how much movement is created as the lungs fill, right? Our diaphragm moves down towards the pelvic floor moves down, belly gets full in all directions, ribs get full. Maybe even that sense of light coming in. So there's that filling up of light, of breath. And any other senses, right? The temperature of the room on your skin, or that feeling of sun on your skin, clothes on your skin, soft clothing on your skin. Maybe smell. Is there something that you love the smell of? Lilacs in the spring, roses, ocean air, forest floor. What is it? Mine are just suggestions or what I like, so find what you like. The taste. Is there a taste in your mouth that you're still aware of, something you ate earlier? Something yummy, something bitter, salty, tart. Is there a sound that feels really pleasant? The sound of your breath? Is there music that feels really calming? And is there an image, whether you want to open your eyes and see something or with your eyes closed, just the awareness of an image, something beautiful or that makes you smile, somebody that you love quite deeply, a child, an animal, a partner, a place. And then any of your other senses. Right? We have all these other senses, right? The subtlety, our clarisenses, our proprioceptive, our inner senses. Just the feeling of you. Good. And in this place, just very simple, just the awareness of whatever isn't yours, to gently, gracefully, kindly, like leaves dropping from a tree in the fall, ripe fruit, flower petals falling. Right? When it feels ready, so not pushing things out, but really allowing whatever isn't yours to just gently slip away. And like petals falling into a river, into a breeze, just gently be carried off, almost cleaned and cleared with love back to where it belongs. Whatever that is, words, conditioning, beliefs, expectations, judgments. Again, you don't have to tangibly understand what it is, letting it just move. And return to where it belongs as a gift, right? A gift of as it's cleared, a gift of repair. Just allowing that process to happen, not needing to direct it or even track it. Just knowing that it is happening with an intention. And just as important, any places of where you have felt entangled or distracted, or your energy elsewhere, confused, or just entangled, and letting that just gently slip out with that same quality when it's ready to come home, come back to you. It's the sense of calling yourself back home. And as well, and cleaned and cleared with light and love, with nourishment from the sun, the earth, the forest, the redwoods. And gently coming back to you as you need, integrating in a way that feels easy, easeful, nourishing, supportive. And again, not needing to direct it or even track it, just softening to allow it and receive it. And may there be a support wind or breath. And let's just do one more, kind of one hand on heart, one hand on belly. So breath, the inhale, connected to our sympathetic nervous system, and the exhale connected to our parasympathetic. Right, the exhale when we want to come down, and the inhale when we want to build, initiate, slow down. So one hand on heart, one hand on belly. Let's inhale through the nose and exhale through the nose. Inhale through the nose. As we exhale, we're going to keep the mouth closed, but with the exhale. So much more. And I would love to hear, whether in the chat or in the comments, or as you listen to the replay, I would love to hear, and any questions that you have. If this is new to you and it doesn't make sense, why are we moving so slow? I'm getting agitated. That all of that is important, right? That your whole experience is important, even if it's frustration with yourself, with me. It doesn't matter. That's part of speaking it so that you can see it, so that you can understand it, and build on creating shifts. And I hope this is helpful. And if it doesn't make sense, that you have permission to ask, to question, to even
kind of challenge.
Okay. Love to hear from you.